Sometimes I'm guilty of leaning too far to the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mindset. You know, if it's working, just keep at it. But I have definitely changed my tune on some new money hacks over the years. So today I'm sharing a few of those with you. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, man, there were things that have come out in the money space, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then I end up doing it. So first up, we have Apple Pay. Okay, we all know I can be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. You know, I'm a little conspiracy theory forward sometimes in life. I'm not going to lie, when Apple Pay came out, I'm like, I'm not putting my info on my phone because they're watching us and tracking and get to whatever. No. So for so long, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And then, you know, you fall back into the trends and I can't get enough of it now. I'm not going to lie. I love it. I have been known to forget my purse every now and then. If you're a police woman or man, don't judge me for this, but I'll get to a store and I'm like, crap, I totally forgot my purse. Like I left it, you know, inside or whatever. And the convenience of stores having Apple Pay, because I always have my phone, always. I'm like, oh, it's so easy. It's so easy. Even if I don't forget my purse and they're like, oh, here's Apple Pay. I'm like, oh, I'll do that over trying to like get my debit card out, all the things. So as always, cautionary tale when you are paying, especially with something like Apple Pay where you're not even swiping, you don't even take anything out. It's just part of it. It just looks at your face. You can tend to spend more, okay? So remember that. The emotion is very detached. So it's always my word of caution, but I was a hater on Apple Pay, but now can't live without it. All right, next is excessive Amazon delivery. So when Amazon started, if you can remember back in the day, it was books. Like that's what people bought off Amazon mostly was books. And then people started buying other things. And I remember thinking that was so bizarre. There was a guy I used to work with, and he would get his toilet paper, Amazon to his house. And again, this was like on the cutting edge. And everyone made fun of him. We were like, you're insane. Like toilet paper, Kleenex, like go to the store. Go to the store. I was a little judgy. Now times have changed and it's become way more normalized to do this. And y'all know me, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know I love a good Amazon purchase. So I'm in there. Yep. And now, you know, subscribe and save. It is a great way to cut some costs on household expenses if you are using that stuff. And if you're in a pinch, a good grocery delivery never hurt anyone. Okay. So, God, getting stuff delivered to the door, I love it. I'm a fan. I made fun of people back in the day. Now it's me. All right. Money hack number 3 is having a monthly budget no matter what. For a while, I was like, we don't make a ton of money. Like once I first got married, I knew I should be budgeting growing up, like with my dad and everything saying it. I was like, I don't know. We'll be fine. Like we'll figure it out. Obviously, Winston and I started budgeting, but that was when we weren't making a lot. And then I feel like people kind of go on the other end of the spectrum. And when they make a lot and they're like, oh yeah, I don't really need a budget anymore. Regardless of where you are in the income spectrum, budgeting is so important. I love EveryDollar. It's the budgeting app that we use. And you're budgeting, sure, if you are out of debt, if you're on baby step 7, it may not be as specific, right? You may have more general categories, but you still want a plan for your money. So whether you're making a little or a lot, budgeting, regardless of how I felt in the early days, it is really important. All right, the next 2 hacks are kind of small shifts, but they add up quickly. But I also want to tell you first about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. If you don't remove your personal data from the internet, you're basically asking for your name, address, email, even your kids' names to be out there on sketchy data broker websites. And this puts you at risk for scams and fraud, but Delete Me removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed, which is why Delete Me does the work for you. So sign up for Delete Me and take control of your family's online privacy. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9, or you can just click the link in the description. Number 4, threatening to cancel subscriptions to get a lower rate. So I used to be like, oh, that is so stupid. Oh my gosh, just pay the extra $20 a month. Like if your service goes up, like no big deal. Don't call customer service. Don't waste your time. But now there's a little bit of me. I'm like, all right, Winston would do this all the time when we had Comcast. He would be like, let's just get rid of it. He'd call to cancel, and they'd lower the rate. And it's like, fine, we'll just keep it. And there's a little bit of this like customer holds the power that it actually does kind of work. And a lot of people say, you know, whether it's Xfinity or T-Mobile, they will bargain with you. And so I don't know. I think that there's something important about this, that if you are a consumer or a customer of someone and you want a lower rate, go in and ask. Now, George Camel, my friend and co-host of Smart Money Happy Hour, loves this hack. George Camel will beat someone down for a better rate, regardless of the service. He's very passionate about this, but it works. Saves you some money. All right, number 5 is shopping generic. So I'm telling you guys, if you start doing this, you're not only going to save money, but most of the time, you cannot tell the difference. And you know there's going to be an Aldi shout out coming because it is true. So my kids, they love Golden Grahams, the cereal. They had it on like some beach trip with family like 2 years ago. It's like their favorite cereal. I never grew up with Golden Grahams, but they love it. Anyways, when I was shopping at Aldi, they had the generic version of Golden Grahams. I'm like, well, I'll just see if they like this, you know, instead. Because usually cereal is the one place I will not skimp on, because Honey Nut Cheerios versus like Magicos, like you can tell a difference. You can usually tell a difference. And my kids prefer the Aldi version of Golden Grahams, and it's like a third of the price. Unbelievable. So listen, even if it doesn't taste great, it's going to help you. Like, it is a hack that I used to not really jump into, but now I love a generic shopping trip. I really do. And this could be you. Your kids are going to be resilient. You're going to be resilient, and you're going to bring in some extra cash from your grocery budget. We love it all. Now, the truth is there are a lot of things that I teach when it comes to money, and some would call some of this advice a little questionable, if you will. So you'll definitely want to catch the episode at 6 things I teach about money that will make you angry or wealthy. That's coming up after this. You can click right here. If you're listening on podcast, I'll leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So there are definitely some things that I love to splurge on. I love a good hotel. I love a good high-quality handbag. But at the end of the day, I prefer to ball on a budget when it comes to everyday items that I shop for. And there are some things that I will always say no to. So today I'm sharing popular products that, in my opinion, are a complete waste of money. And be sure to stick around to the end, because the last item on my list is a financial product trap that everyone needs to avoid. So first, let's just start off with a little bit of humor, because the whole reason this topic has been on my mind lately is because we had a slightly traumatic experience at this dinosaur exhibit that was a complete ripoff. So on Instagram, I kept seeing this ad for this dinosaur thing coming to Nashville. And Charles, my 4-year-old, loves dinosaurs, like loves them. Dinosaur underwear, dinosaur shirts, dinosaurs. And so I was like, this would be such a good thing. Like, I don't normally do this. I'm not like buying tickets out to stuff all the time, but like this would be a fun family thing to do on a Saturday where we didn't have anything, which rarely happens either. We go, it was the most terrible experience I've had in a really long time. We were totally ripped off, y'all. I mean, like, just know there was a grown man dressed up as a dinosaur, and the dinosaur's name was Diego, and he came, and Diego spun around. Diego sat, and Diego stood back up. That was part of the exhibit, was that. It was so bad, y'all. And it was rainy and muddy. It was outside, and like they had bounce houses that I bought extra tickets for, and the bounce houses were like puddles of mud and kids and sweat. Like, it was just gross. It was just bad. It was bad, the whole thing. And the worst part of it all is we're driving home, and Winston was like, well, that was an adventure. But at least, you know, it was probably only like $10 a person or something, right, Rachel? No. We spent $156 to take our family to this. So anyways, it was just one of those moments where I thought, okay, I'm going to learn. And the bright side of all of this is that, you know, we have a good memory. We still laugh about it because, again, trapped in this fairground tents with bounce houses and Diego was not a great Saturday. Okay, let's dive into the actual list, though, of really things that are not worth the money. And the first thing that I thought about was expensive athleisure wear. So $100 for a pair of leggings in this economy? No. Now listen, I love Lululemon. I love all the nice things. It's great. But y'all, the same stretchy fabric technology now is like in so many places. I have ones from Amazon, some from Old Navy, and they are a fraction of the price, and they're fantastic. So that's one thing that I will go Target, Old Navy, Amazon for all that stuff. Again, if you want to splurge on a couple of items from like the nicer places, I'm sure they're wonderful and nice. I have some, but overall, if I just need some running shorts, I'm probably going to go to Target for that. All right, the next popular item that I think is a waste of money is for my friends with hoarding tendencies. I love you guys, but renting out storage units or investing in collectibles is not always the wisest way to spend your money. So listen, if you have to have multiple storage units for all your crap, we probably could do some purging, don't you think? We could probably say, hey, here's some, that's just trash we could throw out. Here's some things we could sell. Like we may just have too much stuff. And the fact that, for some people, they're paying a monthly rent on a place to keep all of this. Now, I get it. If you went from like a house to an apartment, you're downsizing. Like if there's a transitional period during time, I get it. Absolutely. But overall, just think of all the crap you have and just ask yourself, would I be sad if this was gone? Because the truth is, you're probably not. Now, again, there are a few exceptions here, but let's just think about how we can save money on rent when it comes to a storage unit. All right, number 3 for me is expensive kids' clothes. So if you are a parent, you know how much time it feels like it takes to keep up. My kids, they grow so fast. Like we go through 2 sizes of shoes, usually throughout the school year, from one summer to the next. I mean, there were just this and all of it. There's just so much. And so I will look for sales for my kids when it comes to nicer stores. But honestly, I just get stuff from Old Navy and Target. Like, that is it. When they were, like, little, I would go to consignment sales because a bunch of bougie moms in, like, the rich part of town would have, like, pretty smock dresses and, like, all these, like, really, really nice outfits that I would get at a fraction of the cost, which was amazing. But, y'all, I'm like, the kids, let's just be honest. They're going to grow out of them. And they're a mess. Like, they go to school. All of it. So I will buy inexpensive clothes all day for my kids. The 4th product that I think is a waste of money is any and all food at the movie theater. So we are a pre-movie Walgreens family. So if we go to the movies, we usually go to Walgreens and get the candy boxes there. It's half the cost. And I remember even when I was a kid, my mom would get a bag. She bought a bag of popcorn, y'all, at the movie theater. And it was like, you could get refills for free. She would like fold that bag and put it in her purse. And like next time we went, she'd like shake it out and go get more popcorn. So we found ways to scoot around the system. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it happened. And one time we took all of our kids to the movies and I was like, let's just go big and let's just do it. Like we'll buy, the food here. And y'all, it was so much. It was so expensive. So listen, putting some stuff in the old purse, like just do it. Just do it. Save some money that way. Now, the next item on the list can easily run people about $5,000. But before I tell you more about that, I want to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable. And that's Christian Healthcare Ministries. So CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members that take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So find out more at chministries.org/budget. All right, popular product number 5 that I think is a waste of money. A Dyson. Yep. And I know you guys, I'm going to get some heat for this, but listen, I'm convinced that a vacuum cleaner is a vacuum cleaner. A hair dryer is a hair dryer. And just like the legging technology has caught up with us, there are tons of dupes out there for viral hair appliances like the Dyson hair wrap. And again, I listened to this podcast with this hairstylist and she was like, no. And she named up like 3 or 4 other hair dryers too that were better than the Dyson and cost half of the money. So I think there's some other alternatives out there, so don't feel like you have to fall into that trend. All right, the 6th product that I think is a waste of money is airport and airplane food. I know. So listen, we're talking $10 bottled waters, Remember magazines? They used to buy magazines. They were like $7 per magazine, all of it. And then you got to pay for the air Wi-Fi service, the overpriced cocktails on the plane, like all of it. And it is so easy for your money to slip through your fingertips when you're traveling. So before you travel, just think, hey, throw in some snacks, throw in an empty water bottle, because a lot of now airports, you can fill up your bottle at different water filling stations. And again, if you want to have, a cocktail on the plane or something here or there, that's great. But just know all of this is going to cost so much, and that's money you could have spent at your destination, having a great night out. So just remember that. Now, the seventh item that ends up being a waste of money is twofold. Popular jean styles and trendy jewelry pieces. They're always changing, you guys, always changing. And I do want to invest in new cuts and colors every season, and I just do it. And when I buy that stuff, it's usually Amazon, Old Navy, Target, Abercrombie, all the things. Because again, even jeans, you think about jeans and how much they have changed over the last 4 years. And if you want to kind of just be on trend a little bit, you're probably going to cycle through some styles and all of it. So go on the cheap end. Don't buy the really expensive stuff. And finally, the one financial product that I never recommend is something that is supposed to help you out when you're in need, but it absolutely does not. And that is whole life insurance. So whole life insurance, you guys, it is, I think, one of the worst financial products on the market, because you're getting insurance for your whole life, but it also has a investment attached to it so that you get a crappy rate of return. And through some of the accounts, they keep the money when you die. It's all this stuff. No. So I recommend getting term life insurance, have your investing in something completely different. And if the end of the life stuff isn't on your radar yet, I hate to be the bearer of news, but you are going to die. So you need to be thinking about this stuff, you guys. And I know it's not fun to think about, but think through this. And especially if you have someone that is dependent upon your income, make sure you have life insurance. Now, I love Xander Insurance, and you can get a free quote in just a few minutes. And you go to RamseySolutions.com/term life and check that out. Now, while we're at it, if you haven't checked out my episode about 6 types of insurances that you need and some that you don't, make sure to do that today as well. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Weekend, I was out with my kids, and a family stopped me and just kind of said, thanks for all you do. And they told me they were on baby step 2, and they had these little kids with them. And I always just have this moment, number one, where I just feel like, gosh, you families out there with little kids who are doing the sacrifice to pay off your debt, you are doing such good work. And I know it can be so hard. I talk to so many of y'all, and there's times where it's exhilarating and it's fun, you have energy. Sometimes it's exhausting and it's challenging. But whenever I think about this is a concept that really passes down generation to generation. When your kids grow up in a home where money is not stressful because it's under control, you do a budget, you don't owe a lot because you're getting out of debt. So there's not this feeling of oh my gosh, the stress of it. There's a freedom to it. All of that changes your family tree. And that was my story as a kid. I was born the year my parents filed for bankruptcy. And because of that, and because of their choice to continue being smart with money, that wisdom was passed down to me. So for all of you with little ones at your house that you're raising while you're doing this, just as encouragement for them 20, 30 years in the future, like I am, thank you for all your work. You're doing the good work, you guys. In the financial world, there's always buzz around retiring early and kind of hacking the system when it comes to investing for the future. So if you're someone who's eager to retire early, here are 6 questions you need to ask yourself. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, the first question to ask yourself is why? Why do you want to retire early? So if you've ever thought about it, it's kind of once I retire, everything is just going to be easier and perfect and great. If that's your expectation, let's re-examine that, because to have a quality life, you really do have to have a purpose. This idea of just living in the abyss never really helps. And actually studies show that your decline physically and mentally can happen so quickly in retirement if you do not have something else you're doing. And then also loneliness can really happen as well. So here's the thing. People see work as such a negative thing in this kind of connotation. But the truth is, if you find the work that you love and that's what you do and that's how you earn a living, then that is really the goal. That's one of the goals in life, right? We spend so many hours of our lives working. And if the only thing you're doing is to run away from that, I think that there can be a huge letdown. Now, yes, is there flexibility? And maybe you can do something different that you've always wanted to do that doesn't pay as much as your normal job now, like all of that. Absolutely. And I'm not saying you have to work into retirement, but this idea of kind of running away from retirement because you don't want to work may not be the best motivation. Just throwing that out there. All right, number 2, do you have a great financial advisor in your corner? Because beyond investing, there are other things that you want in place, from estate plans, insurances, taxes, your will, like all of that. You want to make sure you have really shored up, because in order to retire early, you're obviously going to have the funds to do that. But you also want to look at your whole financial picture. And so I always recommend working with a SmartVestor Pro. I'll put a link down below so you can connect with one in your area. But having someone in your corner, you guys, regardless of if you want to retire early or not, is so, so wise, because when they can look at your entire financial picture, you're able to plan really well and plan based on facts, not emotion or what's happening in that moment in the market. You can look at your overall financial picture, which is wonderful. Number 3, ask yourself, do I have enough money to cover my monthly expenses? So yes, you want to look at the interest that your investments are earning, the principal of that interest and all of it, and want to make sure that you can realistically live off of this for a long period of time. Because some people, they rush so quickly into retirement and they're like, well, I'm not going to have a lot of bills. I'm going to live really below my means and not live this extravagant life so that I can retire early. And then as you go on in your life, let's say you're crazy and you retire at like 45, 65-year-old you may want like a bougier life, right? And then you're like stuck because you're like, well, I thought I was going to live at this level, but I kind of want to do more and live better, right? So you have to be thinking long-term, not just short-term. Now, to check your progress when it comes to your investments, to make sure you have enough, you can check out the Ramsey Investment Calculator. I love this calculator because you just plug your numbers in, see what everything is doing, change some numbers, just kind of play along with it, because it is really fun to be able to see and change things so you can know what kind of progress you need to make over the long term. And speaking of amazing online resources, I have to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. So if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for everyone to see. And that's your kids' names, your address, your email, everything is out there on sketchy data broker websites. And those data brokers sell your data, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. So your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off their annual plans, bringing your monthly cost to under $9 a month, or click the link in the description. I also want to tell you about a sponsor that offers incredible support as you work the Ramsey plan. Fairwinds. So if you're working the baby steps, your bank should not be working against you. That is why I love Fairwinds Credit Union. They share Ramsey values like getting out of debt, saving for the future, and putting people first. Their smart checking and savings bundle were designed to line up with the baby steps, and their customer service is top tier, you guys. They are amazing. So if you're ready to move your money somewhere that supports your financial goals, head to fairwinds.org/Ramsey to open up your smart checking and savings bundle today. All right, back to the list. Number 4, do you have enough money to do the things you want to do? So yes, you have to pay your utility bill and maybe some medical bills. And there are going to be things that come up, Christmas and birthdays and groceries, right? Like there are things that you're going to have to do to have a classic standard of living, even into retirement. But then also, as we were saying, that your 65-year-old self may be a little bougier than your 45-old self. Think about do you have dreams to travel? Do you have dreams to do things in retirement that you're not doing now? So you want to make sure you're counting all of that as well, not just your regular expenses. Because again, some people go in and they kind of get the bare bones to try to retire early. And what happens is the retirement life does not look like the life that they dreamed. So obviously retirement does not mean you hit the lottery, but it does mean that you finally get to use those investments that you were investing decades before this point of retirement, which is amazing. Right? You have a whole nest egg there waiting for you to do things that you want to do. So making sure that you have enough money in there for it to not only be able to pay your pay for your standard of living that you want to be at, but also to be able to do some fun things as well. Number 5, ask yourself if your house is paid off. So paying a mortgage during retirement totally can be done for sure. But it is so much easier when your house is already paid for, because usually the biggest expense that comes in a monthly budget is housing for rent or a mortgage. And if you don't have a giant house payment, your retirement money is going to go further. So paying off your house before retirement, maybe make that a goal. All right, up next, number 6, what do you want your financial legacy to be? So ask yourself this, because if you're heading into retirement, again, maybe at a younger age, but be thinking about the long term and not just you, but everyone else that follows you, right? Whether it's friends or family, like what do you want to do with it? I read this book called Die with Zero. I've mentioned it a couple of times on here, but he talks about using all of your money while you're alive, whether it's giving or helping your kids or using it to travel or to treat friends to stuff, like whatever it looks like. Like, is that what you want to do? Or do you want to leave a giant nest egg to your kids and then maybe some to your grandkids and keep it going? Do you want to leave a large donation to something that you care about and be really generous with that money? Like, whatever it is, I want you to be intentional, though, about your generational financial legacy, because building wealth, it shouldn't just be so inward focused where it's all about us. It is about other people. It is about changing your family tree and being extremely generous. So don't forget that part. Now, there are a few more questions that you may want to ask yourself as well. So make sure to check out the episode 9 questions to help you choose the right financial advisor. That one's coming up next. Or if you're listening on podcast, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So when you hear people say like, oh, well, rich people have struggles too, sometimes there's like an immediate eye roll, which I totally get. We're like, they're fine. They're fine. But listen, just stick around and hear me out, because today I want to talk about the hidden money challenges that wealthy families face. And some of you might fall into this category without even realizing it. But first, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. All right, a lot of millennials and Gen Xers are raising kids that have more access to financial security than they did growing up. And what can happen is there can be some tricky things within that. So just to clarify, I'm not saying baby step 7ers out there have the same level of like financial hardship as people that are working 3 jobs to get out of debt, right? Like there's a season of sacrifice when you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're trying to get out of debt. You're trying to just build up an emergency fund in general, like all of that. Like that is hard, grinding work for sure. But here's the thing with money, is money continues just to be a tool in our life. But as our life continues to change season after season, there are going to be things in our lives that we bump up against that are a hardship. So whether it is working extra jobs and it's like you're exhausted and tired and miserable. And then some other times, you talk to people and they are building wealth, but their marriages are falling apart, right? So like no one is immune to hardship in life, regardless of how much money you have or how much money you're making. But listen, if you are in the grind phase, I see ya. That is not going to last forever. But again, on the other hand, even if you have margin in your budget, there is something about raising kids in a household where you want them to learn hard work. You want them to learn the grind of life. You don't want them to be entitled. And maybe you've worked your butt off to get to this place where, yeah, you have some financial freedom, but yet you don't want to screw up your kids, right? And so what that looks like with our kids of even having to manufacture sometimes a harder path for them. But what does it look like when they're not seeing the struggle day in and day out? Because regardless of socioeconomic classes, every family has access to more debt, convenient spending, comparison, like all the things in our financial life look so different regardless of where you are financially than it did like 20, 30 years ago. And when you think about the idea that basically anyone can get a credit card today, you have buy now, pay later, you have social media that you're scrolling through and you're seeing people live their lives that you never would have seen 20 or 30 years ago. You got conveniences like grocery delivery. Like our life just looks different financially today in 2025 than it ever has been. So how do you raise then financially resilient kids when money is scarce? And maybe you're like, yeah, I need you to see that this is tough. Or if you are in a season of abundance, how do you do that? Well, there are 5 things that I think are important to teach kids when it comes to money in general. Number 1, is gratitude. The emotion behind money that is so important to grasp as early as you can is gratitude. And I meet 40-year-olds that don't have this emotional capacity. But this is something in life, again, regardless of where you are financially, that's going to be huge. Now, if you have your four walls covered, food, shelter, utilities, transportation, the truth is, compared to the entire globe, you are doing incredible. You really are. And so there is this idea of gratitude of where we are. And gratitude does not mean that you're just happy and complacent, right? You can still have goals and strive for things. But this heart of gratitude, of being present of where you are, is such a model of your character. And so teaching our kids that, to be grateful. And this is even like making them say thank you, right? And understanding where things are coming from. And the fact that not everyone has what you have. Like whatever the verbiage is around your home, but making a point that we are going to be so grateful. And they're watching you, parents, and your gratitude is huge. But I think this is one part of money that is so huge. Now, I have a children's book out about gratitude called I'm Glad for What I Have. So I can put a link down below if you have little ones, because I think this is, again, it's such an important topic. All right, number 2 is participation. So kids should start contributing to the home at a young age. There is something that happens when your kids have a level of responsibility, and it can be something small, like just keeping their room clean, right? Or as they get older, it's like, yes, we're going to unload the dishwasher, or you're going to help fold laundry. Like you're going to do things around the home that take a level of sacrifice. But when they complete tasks around the home, there is a level of confidence that actually gets put into your kids, because they're not just, sitting there not contributing anything, where to a degree that can create some level of emotional laziness, but to know like they can be effective, like they can do things. And what's great about chores is they get to see something that is not completed and then completed. And then as we're talking about money, like paying them on some of this stuff and letting them participate and understand where money comes from. But having responsibility around the home is so, so important. Now, before I share my hot take on the word no, I do want to tell you something that is an absolute yes, and that is one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. So when you lose your employer-sponsored health insurance, there may be a better option than COBRA. So consider Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is an affordable, biblically based alternative to health insurance that could be a third of the price of COBRA. Yes, CHM programs start as low as $98 a month, and CHM has helped hundreds of thousands of families take care of over $11 billion in medical bills since 1981. And CHM members are also supported spiritually with prayer when they have a medical event. So try getting that with COBRA, because you're not. So whether you're going through a job loss or a life change, or maybe you just want to consider other options to save on healthcare costs, check out CHM. So learn more at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. All right, number 3 for our kids is to hear the word no. Now, you don't have to be extremely wealthy to be able to give your kids what they want, because sometimes it's like a $3.99 thing on Amazon that you're like, yeah, sure, we'll just do that, right? Like you can find ways to just kind of like medicate their want in the moment. It's like, here, just take it, whatever. And when that starts to become the rhythm and the pattern, which again is easier in the present, just to be like, here, we'll just fix it, like get you what you want so you're not throwing a fit and we have to go through this whole parenting cycle of like learning all this stuff. Like sometimes you just don't have the energy for it. And so it's easier just to give in. But when you have the ability to say no and to stand your ground, get the repercussions of maybe like the tantrum or whatever the thing is, it is so key, because our kids have to learn boundaries. The idea that money is just limitless is not an option, because when that happens, when that's their mindset, then they're going to go into adulthood. And when they actually bump up against a financial boundary, debt is right there to be like, oh yeah, you can get what you want when you want it. And you don't have to tell yourself no. So learning no and seeing that level of discipline from you as a parent, and also you displaying that to them as a kid, is so key when it comes to money. Those limits and those boundaries are so, so important. Number 4 is patience. So patience is also something. Delayed gratification is something we are terrible at in today's world. Like, again, instant gratification is everywhere. We can get what we want when we want it. Even information or buying anything. Like you can just open your phone, do what you need to do, get the fact that you need from Google, or chat GPT or look up the weather. Like you can do whatever you want within 5 seconds because of our phones. And what that has created is that same level of instant gratification when it comes to purchasing and buying things. So having the patience to save up and pay for something is huge. And this is true as adults, but also your kids should do the same. So have the patience and have them have a goal of something that they're saving up for, something that's kind of out of reach for them, but it's good for them not to get it in the moment, but to do that. And then also we do no spend months as well, because sometimes it's like, even if they have the money to spend because they've done chores, sometimes it's just like they just want stuff all the time. And you're like, y'all, stop asking. So sometimes we just do a hard stop, no spend month. And for a few days, they kind of complain, like, well, this, that. And then it's amazing. After a while, they're fine. And they go back and play with what they have. So patience is key. Number 5 is to sit in disappointment. Because let's be honest, disappointment is the concept of real life. Like in real life, we feel so much disappointment on so many things at different levels in life, but man, it is real and you have to know how to cope with that. And I've heard recently, I was reading a parenting book and they were talking about how there used to be helicopter parents, right? Where they would just hover and like take over and control everything. And now they're considering parenting. A lot of parents are snowplow parents, meaning they go through and pave the way so there's no bumps, there's no grooves, there's no like, oh gosh, am I going to fall down? No, it's like this perfect slope for your kids to go down with no issues and everything's fine. And they fix everything. So there's no roadblocks. Everything is done for them. And you have to know, like, guys, listen, there are going to be bumps in the road. And when that happens, that creates resilience. And yes, there's going to be disappointment in life. And as a parent with little ones, like, I will sit with you in that, right? Like we will talk about that. I will be here for you in that. But you have to experience disappointment because that is a part of life. So again, parenting is big, you guys, but regardless of whether you are parenting when you have the means to just fix things with money, or maybe you still are struggling, but you're exhausted. You're like, I just will throw money at the situation just to like get through the day. Like these things are so important for our kids and no one's perfect. We're not consistent on all of these all the time. Like you're not going to be. It's okay. There's a lot of grace in this, but the overall spirit and environment of the home as we're raising our kids is so key because money is something they need to learn from a tactical standpoint, but also an emotional standpoint. It's something that can be overlooked. Now, something else that can be overlooked when it comes to money is what everyone gets wrong about generational wealth. So that episode is coming up next. You can click here, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Did you know that there are 7 money tendencies that everyone has? Well, I wrote a book a few years ago called Know Yourself, Know Your Money, and that is where I covered 7 money tendencies that I constantly saw people have. And again, these tendencies are actively affecting your ability to build wealth, whether you realize it or not. And today I want to share those with you so that you can kind of quiz yourself and figure out like, okay, where am I on this spectrum of like, is this like good? Is this bad? But listen, we all have room for improvement, but also we are naturally who we are and we're going to celebrate that. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to this channel and share this episode with a friend. All right, to clarify, the point of this is to be intentional, not judgmental. So there are some money tendencies that people have and they feel like, oh my gosh, is this like a bad tendency to have or an okay tendency? And I don't think there's a right or wrong to this. I think the extremes on either end can be unhealthy. So we're going to talk about, hey, there are strengths, there are weaknesses, and all around, we can all grow when it comes to our outlook on money, but yet we don't change who we are. So we're going to talk all through it. And then I'm going to challenge each type as we go and comment below as we go because I want to know which ones you relate to. All right, the first money tendency, it's an easy one. Spender versus saver. So just kind of knee-jerk reaction. Where are you on the spectrum, right? You have savers over here, spenders over here. Where are you? I am naturally a spender. So if you're like me, a good challenge for us is to prioritize savings. Now, we can start small with this, but if you are a natural spender, saving is going to be more difficult. So Again, putting something consistent in your life and in the rhythm of your budget to be saving is really important. Now, savers, you don't get a pass. Some people just like celebrate savers, like you're just the good money one. Not necessarily, because for some savers, again, they hold their money so tightly because all they want to do is save. So my challenge to you is create a budget and put a line item in there that just brings you some joy, where you are going to have to force yourself to spend money on just things that you want, right? And it may not be a high dollar amount in your budget for it, but practicing enjoying your money, because you don't want to just spend all your money. You also don't want to save all your money. You want a balance of both. So you want to enjoy it. So you savers out there, spend a little. The second money tendency is a nerd or a free spirit. So if you followed Ramsey any amount of time, this is kind of the words we've coined for people, especially when it comes to the budget. So when you are a nerd, if you're on that side of the playing field, it's like, yeah, you just like love budgets, you love numbers, you love Excel, you love being in control of your money. Free spirits, a little bit more like, hey, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't freak out and stress yourself out. We will figure it out. No big deal. I lean more on the free spirit side when it comes to money. But if you are a nerd, this is your challenge. I want you to practice flexibility, because if you live and die by the rules, you're going to wear yourself out and the people around you. So just listen, processes are great. We want to be wise, but sometimes it's okay to like have some life happen. Now, free spirits, I'm going to say for you, we got to kind of rein ourselves in at times. And I want you to set an intentional goal or a habit. The thing is, if you don't do this, if you don't actually force yourself in a rhythm of managing your money, doing a budget, telling it where to go, you're going to look up when it's time for retirement and be like, oh my gosh, we have just been unprepared my whole life because I've just kind of just been going with the flow. So your challenge is to get a process in place. All right, money tendency number 3 is, are you an experience person or a things person? So let me explain. When you spend money, would you rather spend money on experiences? So a great dinner out with friends, going to a concert, going on a great trip, or do you like things? Like you want to buy something, have your money be used for something that you can use in your life to better your life. So those are the 2 buckets. I lean more towards experiences for sure. Now, if you lean towards things, that's not a bad thing, okay? My husband once said, he's like this. He's like, I would rather save for a nice pair of boots that I can wear over and over and over again. Or I want to save, he did like bought a cold plunge this year. And he's like, I just want to like have a nice cold plunge, so I'm going to use it, right? So like he likes things that are utility that he can use. And again, not a bad thing. It's just where you lean and knowing your tendency. So this challenge is actually a joint challenge, and that is to simply communicate with the people around you. So if you are married, the challenge is, hey, ask your spouse, and you may already know, but be like, okay, where do you naturally tend to bend when it comes to spending your money? Now, if you know my love for Amazon, then you could probably guess which category I fall under for the next money tendency. But before I share more, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. You know, we spend so much of our lives online. We're on social media, but we're also shopping and banking, and everything we do is on the internet these days. So our names, addresses, work history, phone numbers, email addresses, and more are out there for bad guys to exploit. And we need to protect ourselves. That is why I love and use Delete Me. Delete Me finds and removes your information from hundreds of data broker websites that buy, sell, and trade your personal data. So take control of your online privacy today and find peace of mind with Delete Me. Individual Delete Me plans start as low as $9 a month. So sign up today at joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, or click the link in the description. All right, money tendency number 4 is, are you a quality person or a quantity person? Quality, obviously, it's like, I need 2 nice pairs of shoes. It's great. Quantity is like, oh, they can be cheap, don't need to be nice, and I want 6 pairs and I'll get new ones next year. Where do you kind of lean? I am quantity. I like having options. I don't need like super nice stuff. I'm like, just give me options. Options are fun for me. I enjoy it more. Again, my husband is a quality person for sure. So it's good to know kind of where you lean, because it's going to really inform how you spend your money. So if you are a quality person, here's your challenge. Ask yourself if it's really necessary for you to spend more on a special version of like that thing, because sometimes you can get a lower quality thing at a lower price and it's fine. But sometimes when you're like obsessed with quality and you're like, no, it has to be like this real leather, that like you get really specific. Sometimes it doesn't need to be the case. So maybe kind of like find some things in your life that like you don't maybe need the quality, and it's okay to go a little cheaper. You'll save some money that way. Now, if you are a quantity person, here's your challenge. I'm saying this to me, is to try the minimalist exercise, or even just do like a closet clean out or the consumption challenge. Like, get rid of your crap. Okay. Because I know you quantity people out there, because it's me. You just have so much crap. And then you look up and it's been 3 years. And you're like, I haven't worn those earrings in 2 years. Why are they still here? Like, get rid of your stuff, because I do believe when you are organized and you have less things, there is more of this peace of mind. There really is. And so while it's not always bad, make sure you are cleaning out your stuff if that's how you're choosing to live. And again, I'm saying this to me too. So that's our challenge. Get rid of some stuff. All right, money tendency number 5 is, are you a safety person or a status person? So what I mean by this is the motivation of why you want to do well with your money. Why is that? And for some people, it's safety. It's like, I just want to be taken care of, knowing that I have enough money and it's fine. And then status people, which is not a bad thing. Status, I feel like, can sound bad, but it's more like, oh yeah, I want to win with money because I want to do things. Like I want to get a fun car and I want to go on a great trip. Like I'm doing this so that I can live out a fun life. So knowing where you are, again, is your motivation on why you want to handle money well and win with money long term. So if you are a safety person, here's my challenge to you, is to make sure that your value of safety doesn't cause you to live in fear. Because some people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose everything. Or, you kind of can end up being in this hoarder mentality of like, I just need more savings and more savings and more safety and more safety. And there's a point of wisdom in that, right? We talk about the emergency fund. Like I'm all for that. But there is a point in life that more money doesn't always bring more security. And so digging into that part of your life and your story, I think is really important. If you're a status person, this is me, check your gut and make sure that you're not just splurging on status symbols to make yourself feel good, and your reputation and your self-worth might be in the wrong place. And if we think, if I just had the nicer car, if I went on the better vacation, somehow like I'm going to find more joy in life. It's not true. That's not going to happen. So while you can enjoy those things and it's fun, and again, enjoy it, but your identity and who you are cannot be wrapped up in those things. And we can lean that way very easily. So make sure to check yourself on that one. Money tendency number 6 is the abundance person or the scarcity person. So we always hear about an abundance mentality or a scarcity mentality. So abundance mentality, it's like, oh yeah, there's more of everything. There's more money to get, more options out there. We're going to be fine. Just more decisions. We'll make different ones. Like it's great. Lots of things out there. It'll be fine. The scarcity person is like, nope, something bad's going to happen. We don't need to make too many rash decisions. We're going to play it real safe because we don't want anything to happen. And so they're less averse to risking anything. So if you are an abundance person, here is your challenge. I want you to channel that positivity about life into your financial goals, because I want you to, again, take this idea of like, oh yeah, everything's going to be fine. And it is, but you want to make sure that your decision-making process throughout that is wise and that you're going in the right direction. That's really important. And if you're a scarcity person, just remember, like, God's in control. It's okay. Okay. And I think sometimes abundance and progress really does require faith in God to bring your work to fruition. So like there is this idea that I can control everything. And if I just like make the right decision, everything's going to be okay. And there's a little bit sometimes of life that like we can do what we can be wise, but also like we can't control everything. So there's a level of trust in God in that I think is really important. All right, the last money tendency, number 7, is, are you a spontaneous giver or a planned giver? Spontaneous giver, it's like, oh yeah, you see something or someone or an organization, you're like, here's my 401k, like take all my money. It's just like, I'm going to just give you what I have in the moment. And you just feel like, yep, I'm led that way. Versus a planned person plans out the giving. They research the organization. They make sure everything's legitimate. They don't go off of emotion. They go off of a plan. And they're very wise and particular with their giving. So if you are a spontaneous giver, then your challenge is that money isn't the only way to be generous. And sometimes it's wise, to cover your own bases first so that you can give your time and energy over. Because sometimes spontaneous givers, like, they just give when they're not really thinking always about the needs of their own household first. Now, a planned person, if you're a planned giver, my challenge to you is put some cash aside in your budget for unexpected generosity, because things will come up, and plan for that. But have the freedom to have some spontaneous giving in your life, because I think that is a really good thing. So no matter what your natural tendencies are, my number one tip that I want you to take away from this is that neither is right or wrong. You are who you are, but we can all grow. And I think the key to these spectrums is like kind of finding that middle ground, which is really important because we need both of these, right? Both sides of the coin are important, but be self-aware know how you're wired, and then be self-aware of how that's affecting others. And if you want to grab a copy of my book, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, we talk a lot more about this in the book. I will leave a link down below. And for more natural tendencies that might need tweaking, make sure to check out my episode with Dave Ramsey on money habits you need to change right now. So click here, or if you're listening on podcasts, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.